Welcome to another well, I don't want to say another, the last of the year, right? So our Freedom Achievers podcast and training and coaching. We do this every single week, every single Thursday, 11 a.m. Um, Super fired up to do part two today. Last week we had part one of business planning, and we went through a lot of information, but it was kind of like an of information where we did a massive overview, and then the expectation is that you take this massive overview and you take the week and you start doing those overview items, right? That's the biggest piece of this, because we're going to dial in today, but dialing in requires to first start with the massive overview. And I'll tell you, I'm a little bit old school when I do my business planning. Just call me a weirdo, right? I like looking for a big table, okay? And I get a stack of papers, blank papers, and I start writing my my code, if you will. I want to call it the code, right? I start writing the code for what I'm going to be creating, what I'm going to be doing. Give me 1 second. Somebody's knocking on the door. Apologize. All right, apologize for that, guys. So what I do is I get the life code, and I write the code by taking a sheet of paper and writing my biggest goals on there. And that's kind of what we discussed last week, right? We said take the big goals and start to break them down as much as possible. Today we're going to get a little more minute on that. And what I do is I take my big goals and I start spreading them across the table, right? So make this much money, launch this new program, host this conference. I'm just speaking on my behalf, right? In your behalf, it could be, attract this many people, work with this many buyers, work with this many sellers, have this much gross commission income, sell this many homes, right? And you're going to find that as you're building this out, for you guys who are focused on real estate, it's so much simpler, right? Because where it boils down is having a GCI, like how much money do I want to make this year? Right? That's that's what it boils down, right? How much money do I want to make this year? I want to make 100 grand this year. Let's just make it super simple, right? And I want to make 100 grand this year. Okay, great. What does that mean? And so that leads me into sub goals, or they could be side bigger goals, right? And so it means, how many houses do I need to sell to do that? Well, you just divide, you get your gross commission income, figure out what the gross sales has to be, and then divide that by the average price point in the area that you market and sell. And that's how many homes you have. The math is super simple on this. It's not a rocket science situation. But here's the crazy part. If you don't do this little bit of stuff, right? If you don't do this little bit of stuff, um, you're just tripping on deals for the rest of the year. So whatever happened this year without a plan is going to happen next year without the same plan. Like you're just going to be without a plan, without a plan, without a plan consistently. And so by putting together a plan, you set yourself up the roadmap beginning now to get to the end goal, which is whatever your main goal is, right? Now we can divide this up. So, all right, if once you get down to how many people you got to speak to, now you start thinking, good God, how do I get that many people to speak to me? How do I speak to that many people? So now you start looking at other pieces, marketing, paid flow, you know, um, and then when you take marketing, you can divide up marketing into so many different things. My website, uh, does my website have IDX, or do I have two websites? One's resume and one's IDX, or is it intermixed? Am I building a team to be able to touch that many people? Am I going on social media? Am I going to build up a social media platform? What social media platforms am I going to use? Right? So I'll give you an example. I can speak on my behalf the best, right? I use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube and Twitter. I'm starting to warm up to Twitter. But I use them in specific ways, in a way that Instagram is my main force. Instagram is where I communicate with people the most. Facebook I use for more long form kind of activity, right? And that's a decision I made like a year and a half ago. I said, I'm going to go in on Instagram. I'm going to do the reels. I'm going to do the videos. I'm going to do the pictures. I'm going to do all that stuff. And then I'm going to have it set up where it automatically feeds my Twitter and my Facebook, right? So every time I post on Instagram, I'm already feeding those two other platforms. And then I take my long form text, like when I want to talk about something, when I'm putting in 5 paragraphs of some shit, right? Like you've seen it before. People go all in, and then because human nature is for us to be nosy, we want to know what the hell they're talking about because they wrote a lot, right? And so we jump in there and we read that, and then we applaud them or we console them or we do what we do because we're human, right? And so when I go to Facebook and I post on directly on Facebook, that is the mission there. Because on Instagram, the mentality is, how many videos and pictures can I see that are going to let me into someone's life? On Facebook, you're looking for more content. People even go to Facebook for the news nowadays. It's insanity, right? And so, and that's a whole other conversation where we need to be massively careful with how we're earning our content there. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And I apologize. First and foremost, man, I'm very sorry. We didn't start this the right way. Welcome to the Freedom Achievers. And the first thing that we do, if you've ever joined us before, you already know, is that we go into the chat group and we write the words, "It's a Freedom Day." So do me a favor, jump in the chat group and write, "It's a Freedom Day." I want to see that in there. It's a Freedom Day. I want to see you guys posting in there and really, really meaning it, okay? And so we do this every single time. I had backstory, very simple and very quick. Backstory was I was going through a very difficult time, and I hired a coach, and she was phenomenal, and she helped me dig into my real why, and I figured out my real why is freedom. And my freedom, I can spread into a lot of different ways. Time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. I could go on for days on the freedoms that we all search for. Every single one of us guaranteed is looking for financial freedom, whatever that means to you. It could be $100,000 a year. It could be $100 million a year, right? Whatever financial freedom means to you, that's what it is. Location freedom is important for me, right? I'm counting down the days, folks. I got 6 years to my tiny ones out of the house. Okay, I got 6 years till she's in college, right? So what do I do in 6 years with a 6-bedroom house? I'm bouncing, guys. I want to make it so that I have location freedom, right? I want to be able to work from India, Mexico, Canada, I don't know, South America, wherever I feel like going. As long as I have a Wi-Fi connection and I can still do some work, I want to be able to work from there. Does that make sense to y'all? Say yes in the chat group if that makes sense to y'all. Keep that chat group open, folks, because we'll be chatting there for quite some time. All right. Thank you. Yes, it makes sense. So whatever your freedom is, the entire goal of the Freedom Organization Coaching Company is to help you find that freedom. So today, we're going to identify some non-negotiables and flexibles. Now, last week, when we were in session, we talked about this. We talked about non-negotiables because today we're going to get quite a bit into time blocking. And so we talked about non-negotiables and what that meant for us, right? So I'll give you an example. One of my non-negotiables is my morning. And my morning consists of prayer, meditation, gym time, and me time. Prayer, meditation, gym time, me time, right? And sometimes people mix gym time with me time. Man, let me tell you, when I go to the gym, I'm angry the entire hour I'm there, okay? Gym, like I'm not the guy. Like I go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. I'm not the guy that's loving life in there. I'm not that guy. I'm not like, I love the gym, No, every morning, I swear to you, no matter how long I go, I'm like, shh, do I go today? Do I not? It's a battle. It's a mind battle, you know? And, every coach will tell you it takes, X amount of time. The theory is 21 days to create a habit, right? So I'm like, 4 years in, I still don't have the habit. I don't know what's going on, but I force myself to go, right? And so, but that's my non-negotiable. For me, that's my non-negotiable. Prayer meditation. I chose to do about a year ago, right? So I've never been a big prayer. I pray when most people pray, right? When shit's going bad and you're like, oh, thank you, please God help me out, right? So I decided I want to be more purposeful about that. And meditation, my brain on a constant basis runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And so I needed to figure out how I could slow that down just for a small portion of the day in peace and quiet. And so these are non-negotiables for me. They're important for my health, for my life, for my structure. By the way, when I come to you at 11 a.m. on a Thursday, I've already, like, there's 5-6 hours of working already, right? But I'm alive and I'm pumped and I'm ready to rock and roll because I've taken those steps, Now, when I do that 7 p.m. class, you see me with a Red Bull. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's tough, okay? So I want you guys to think about real quick, and some of you should have done this already since last week. What are your non-negotiables? Type them in the chat box. What is a non-negotiable for you? For instance, my daughter has a acting debut today, right? She's like, it's in her middle school, so it's not like Hollywood style, but that's a non-negotiable for me today. I will be there, right? So type in the chat box, what's a non-negotiable for you? It could be your kids, it could be working out, weekly family fun time. I love that. Family time, Matt, I love that. Now, a lot of people write family time. So here's the challenge. All right, so somebody wrote morning routine up at 4:30 a.m. and go work out. Bro, that's beautiful. I love that you do that, man. I love that you do that. One of my mentors is a 4 a.m. guy, and he'll text me at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm a 5:30 a.m. guy, okay? I'm 5 to 5:30, that's when I'm up, right? Annette says swimming, that's great. Pilates class, that's great. Okay, so let's talk. All right, so Sheila's in the direction I went. She said Sunday church, right? So for those of you that typed family time, right? Because here's the thing, right? If I say universe, God, Buddha, Allah, whoever it is, I want to win the lotto. Please help me win the lotto. And then I go check my lotto ticket and I got a free ticket on the lotto. Did I win the lotto? I did. If I got $5, did I win the lotto? I did. Right? So how do we get crazy specific with this? Like I always joke with, if you've seen me on stage, you always hear the specificity joke. And the joke is be extremely clear about what you want. And this is very important for time blocking, right? Be extremely clear about what you want, right? So when I grew up, I was in high school and I used to say to the universe and to God and everybody, I used to say, please, please, universe, God, I want to grow up. I want to be wealthy, have a great career, and I want to be surrounded by beautiful women my entire life. Right? Now, when I was a teenager, that meant like, 90-foot yachts and like beautiful women everywhere, right? The universe answered me. They gave me 4 daughters, a wife, a mother, and a mother-in-law, and they all live in my house. Right? So the universe answered. They said, no problem. You got a great career. You're healthy. You're strong. Here's 6 women. And they will be in your face all the time. You want to be surrounded by them? They're going to be in your face all the time. Right? Okay. So for the folks that said family time, how can we get more specific on that? I'll give you an example. Matt Miller's going there right now. I'll give you an example. Friday is my Shabbat. At 3 p.m., I cut off on Fridays. Do I sneak in a phone call every once in a while? Yeah. But I'm not in my office in front of the computer going ham, right? So Friday's my one moment a week where my family and I sit down together and we have some wine. The kids joke. I do a bunch of dad jokes so that everybody's super embarrassed. Like, you know what I mean? We go all in on that family night. So for those of you that said family night, let's look at what Matt Miller just said. He said 2 vacations a year, grandkids stay over once a month, one Saturday boat day a month. Man, I love that, Matt. You know what, Matt? As you continue to grow, the crazy part is I've got a great friend of mine who's a top agent in South Florida, and he decided about 3 years ago he's going to take every Friday off and go out on his boat. Think about that for a moment, right? He has the leverage to do that, you know. Matt, we're going to dig in even more. 2 vacations a year. What months? Grandkids stay over once a month. Does that mean they stay over at the end of one month and at the beginning of next month, and then you don't see them for basically 6-7 weeks? Or does it mean they're staying over kind of routinely every 3 to 4 weeks, right? Like you're looking at your watch and you're checking the date and you call your kids up, you go, hey, listen, it's been 3 weeks, drop the kids off, right? Like, how can we get massively and ultimately committed to that? Christine says, love date night. That's fantastic. Thursday is my date night. When is yours? Right? Let's get crazy specific with it. Go ahead, jump in there. So Matt, when are your 2 vacations a year? Kamala, when are your 2 vacations a year? One in the summer with the kids, the other with no kids. That's my family, by the way. I'm glad that you said that. We do one with the kids once a year, and then we'd have some adult time the next vacation. I get it. I love it. All right. What time of the year are you going on the vacation without the kids? Let's dig in, guys. Have fun with this. And those of you, just because I'm not speaking to you doesn't mean you can't answer and get specific, right? Like for every single person that said family time, dig in, right? So Matt Miller says spring trip, fall cruise. I love that. That's great. Okay. And crazy part is, Matt, you could get crazy specific with this. Fall cruise, where, what boat, what cruise line, right? What room? You get, I mean, it's just so specific with it, right? You know, for everyone that said family time, drop in here. What does that mean to you? Does that mean you go to, you know, based on best deals? I love it. November camping with friends. I love that, Sheila. Does that mean you have dinner with your family every single night, guaranteed, no questions asked? Or does that mean that, you know, you're there at least to tuck in your kids or grandkids every single night, no questions asked? Like, what is family time? And so we'll stop. Sunday family dinner. I love that, Christine. That's awesome. You know, that's awesome. You know what's crazy, Christine? And I'll share this with you. I always worked so hard that I never had family dinners in my house. And Shabbat wasn't really a popular thing in my house. It really wasn't, like, you know, and I watched an episode of Blue Bloods. I don't know if you know the TV show, but I watched an episode of Blue Bloods, and at the end of every episode of Blue Bloods, his entire family comes over. He's the father, and all the kids come visit with their spouses and the small kids and everybody. So he has his kids, his grandkids, spouses, everybody at the table, and they all have Sunday dinner together. And I said, I need to start doing that. And that's when that started. So sometimes you never know where the trigger is going to come from, right? You know, sometimes you never know where that trigger is going to come from. Michelle says, I haven't been back to Cali to see my grandma in 4 years. This year's goal is to take a week back home and spend with her and young adult children. Yeah. So Michelle, that's amazing. That's fantastic. That's great. When? I'm going to go in on you, man. When are you going to do this? Right? Because if you say my year's goal is to take a week back home, when is that going to happen? Because when you say I'm going to do it, well, you do it at some point, and maybe it happens by the end of the year. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. Right? Good. March, when my daughter's on spring break from college. Beautiful thing. So now you're committed. Now you already know when her spring break is going to be and when you're taking a week off. Is this in your calendar, Michelle? Is it already in your calendar? It's beautiful, man. I'm loving life right now. You guys are fucking making me super happy. This is going to be the easiest thing to do. And it's paid for. Now you're super committed, right? You put your money where your mouth is, right? So I mean, I'm excited here. Okay. Now, the next thing that we talked about, so we're talking about non-negotiables right now. Here's a tough one. What are your flexibles? So now, what do I mean by that? My kid has a lot of freaking volleyball games. Okay. I try my best to pretend that volleyball games are non-negotiable, but sometimes I can't make it. So volleyball games for my kid are a flexible. Now, I'm there 92.5% of the time, but it's still a flexible. If something else is gravely happening and important, I will have to make a decision between that very important and going to the volleyball game. And if that very important could lead to 100 other things, I might go to the very important and apologize to my daughter for not being at the volleyball game, right? And so, and she's okay with this because, first of all, I embarrass her when I'm at the game because I'm that dad, right? And then second of all, I'm there 92.5% of the time. I'm there. Okay. So digging back in, can you think about what are your flexibles? What are you able to be flexible on? Go ahead and type that in there. Some of you flexibles is gym. Some of you flexibles is meditation. Some of you flexibles is, weekly date nights. Maybe that's a flexible. Somebody wrote that it's a non-negotiable. That has to happen. For some of you, that might be a flexible. Can anybody think of flexibles for them? Don't be embarrassed to say what you say. Don't let anybody judge you. Nobody. You know why? Because this is a very difficult one. Sleep. Sleep is a flexible, right? Coaching and education, Matt, you're right. You know, as much as you want coaching and education, you want to be there 100% of the time. Sometimes you got that client that rolls into town and you can't show up to the Thursday call, right? Or you don't attend every single class that they're providing every single day, because then you just be a professional educator, right? Weekly lunch with friends is flexible. Agreed. Date night with wife, sadly. Don't be sad about it, Enrico. You're working on something that'll take you to the next level where your wife won't be able to get rid of you, right? So that's the beauty of it. Sleep and decompression time and social media time. Social media time for sure is 100% flexible, right? Sleep and decompression time. Sleep is necessary. I can understand how it's a flexible. Decompression time, yeah, as much as you want to do it, sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I'm with you. I get it. I love it. Okay. All right. So next piece, let's talk about the goals, right? So we talked about last week having that big overlay of goals. We talked about the examples just a few minutes ago. We said, you've got the big goals, which are, how much GCI you want to make, how many units you want to move, what you want your average price point to be. Like sometimes it's a big goal because you have to think about all the work that it takes to go from an average price point of 450 to an average price point of 1.2, right? And there's a ton of work that goes into that. It's a different type of marketing. It's a different type of attention. It's a different type of attraction. It's a different type of conversations, a different type of education, right? And so when you're looking at it in that fashion, what are some of your big goals that you need to chop down for 2022? Go ahead and type them in there. I'll give you mine. I'll type it in here too. I want my general real estate income to surpass 2 mil. That's my 2023. It's so serious. Yesterday, I sat down in front of my whiteboard and I went like this. And I said, what does this look like? And I said, that's my new hashtag. What does that mean? David Adam Kurz 2 mil 2023. Right? Tiffany just wrote 6 million GCI. I love that. That's fire. I want to surpass 10 million in sales. Easy peasy. I'm going to show you that. We're going to use you as an example today, Michelle. Right? Amanda, No less than 3 videos a week. Consistency is key. Back to 30 million. Love it. I want a net 250 on my farm, in my farming area. Super specific. Love it, Kat. 250 in real estate and investment properties. Okay. All right. I got you. Andy, if I were you, I find a way to separate those, right? So just so you're extra specific, how much do you want to make from your investment properties and how much do you want to make from real estate commission? So that we get a separate plan for each one, because you know that getting a buyer into a house and making a commission is very different than identifying an investment property, purchasing and putting tenants in there, you know? So they're two different track plans. So you have an opportunity to really dial in on what that looks like for you, okay? All right, so let's go over detailed process of workflow. And I want to use the 10 million in sales real quick. And those of you that are, listen, those of you that are just trying to get to 5 million in sales or 3 million in sales, this is no pun to you. We're just using round numbers, okay? And those of you that are trying to do 30, 40, 50 million, multiply it by 3, 4, 5. All right, let's work together on this, okay? So if we want 10 million in sales, let's do the math on this together, right? So we're gonna have fun with this. I'll pull my calculator up because, you know, why not? So if I have 10 million in sales at an average of 2.5% commission, 2.5% commission equals $250,000 in GCI. Okay. Now, let's say we look at this and now we know how many houses do I have to sell. Let's say that the average price point for you is $450,000. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, let's look at this together, right? So I go back to $10 million in sales, divide that by $450,000, and I get 22.2 homes. Now, every time I see this, I just instantly go 23 homes. Because if I do 22 homes, I didn't hit my goal, right? So I just instantly round up to 23 homes. I need to sell 23 homes this year. 23 homes divided by 12 months. Is 1.91. What do I do with this? 2 homes a month. Now think about this. This is the craziest part of all this. And this is the part that I love the most. If you believe that you could sell 2 homes a month, type yes in the chat box. It's 2 homes a month, yo. Literally 2 homes. Sure, of course. Of course. Yes, 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 yes. I love this, right? Now here's the crazy part. Let's dig into more numbers. By the way, I'm going to take these notes and I'm going to email it to everybody, okay? So these notes that I'm writing right here, I'm going to email it to everybody. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put them as an attachment. Michael, let's do that. Remind me about this, Michael, okay? When we put this recorded video inside of the freedomsop.com, right? Let's put this as an attachment inside there, inside the freedomsop.com. Is that a deal, Michael?
Yes, it is.
All right, let's get it done. All right, so 2 homes a month, right? If we dialed this down even more, 2 divided by 4 is 0.5. So every week, so we go every week, I need to move 0.5 homes. And don't mind this. I know you can't sell half a home, right? But this is just for numbers purposes. Now let's go back up. If I need to sell 20, what did we say it was? 23 homes in 2023. Now let's look at this. How many buyers and sellers do I need? 23, right? This is an easy one, okay? 23 buyers and sellers. Now you're gonna see why I did this. Now, are you gonna be buyer heavy or seller heavy? Buyer heavy or seller heavy? Depends on your business. Everybody's different, right? Michelle says 50-50, okay, right? I'll tell you right now, my team is like 70-30. We're buyer heavy, right? Some folks are seller heavy, right? Try to focus on sellers. Don't try. Let's just focus on sellers, right? Because there's a way to do it. That's why we're building all this out, to have the plan to do that, right? So let's say we went 50-50, okay? Well, 23 divided by 2 is 11.5. We'll just do 11 on one side and 12 on the other side. Okay? Now, here's the crazy part. Let's bring this. I'm going to bring this. Wait, I'm going to write in green because green for money, right? I'm going to bring this over here, and we're going to say I need 11 buyers. And in order to have 11 buyers, how many people do you think I need to qualify? And this is like this is you're not getting graded on this quiz, guys, okay? How many people do you believe you need to have a conversation with and pre-qualify? Have a conversation and pre-qualify. That's the important part. To achieve 11 closed deals. Answer's 33. Thank you, Tiffany. Right? We multiply this by 3. Now, 22 would have been the right answer in 6 months ago. Like when the market was crazy and everybody's getting qualified and the interest rate was 2.5, right? That's when it would have been 22 because you have to talk to less people. Today, unfortunately, you have to talk to more people to achieve the same goals, right? It's a contact sport, so you got to achieve more people. So we're going to multiply this by 3, and we're going to get 33 people. 33 people have to have a conversation with you and pre-qualify with you. Now let's dig in even deeper, okay? Now give me a multiplier, right? What do you think the multiplier is on how many conversations you actually need to have to get people to pre-qual? Right? Give me a multiplier. Okay. For those of you that don't know, it is a 4 times multiplier. Okay. So 33 times 4 is 132 conversations. 132 real deal conversations, right? Hey, Sheila, how you doing? It's David Kurz. How's everything? Yeah, great. Family's doing great. Fantastic. You know, me, I'm in the real estate business, still rocking it out, having a good time. How's the market? Market's been great. Yeah, how are you doing? Oh, you just bought a home 2 years ago. Oh, wow. Have you thought about selling the home yet? No, not yet. Okay. How long do you think you'll be there? Like 6 more years. Oh, okay. That's a conversation, right? It's a contact sport. Then the next conversation, the next conversation, next conversation. And 1 out of every 4 people will say, you know what, Sheila? I'm tired of renting. Or 1 out of 4 people will say, you know what? I need to downgrade my house. Or 1 out of 4 people will say, you know what? We're pregnant and we got to upgrade, right? And 1 out of people will say, I'm an empty nester now. Put me in a condo, right? So forth and so on. Now, let's go into this. A multiplier of how many calls, texts, touches you need to be able to have those 132 conversations. Give me a multiplier. You think it's times 3 or times 4? What do you guys think? Everybody's going high. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. 132 times 4, it's 528. The numbers are getting higher, but don't get worried yet, because I'm going to show you how we break this down again. Okay. 528 calls, text, touches. Now, if you are getting leads, and this is where marketing comes in, and you start identifying how you're getting those leads, paid, which paid options, Google, ads, postcards, Facebook leads. These are paid, right? Instagram, right? And then when we talk about marketing, we go attraction. How am I developing attraction? Let's say door knocking, monthly meetings, quarterly market presentations to a neighborhood. Attraction again. Here in the paid, I like to do post, closing, host. Now with post closing host, this is when you take a person that just closed on a property and you tell them, hey, listen, in 3 weeks, I would like to host a private event at your home for 10 of your favorite friends, 5 couples, okay? And I'm going to bring a chef over to the house, and they're going to make a very cool meal, and they're going to show you how to make it, and they'll do all that stuff. Guys, you can find that very easily. This would be a $1,000 investment on your behalf. If you just sold them a $400,000 house, how much did you make? 3, 6, 9, 12. You could take $1,000, put it back in your business. That $1,000 is going to introduce you to 5 new couples. And while you're there, you will be the person that found them this home, and you'll be the person that brought a personal chef to their house to make them dinner. It's a very cool thing to do, and it's reinvesting in yourself, right? Attraction through door knocking, monthly meetings, quarterly presentations, right? What if you're in a gated neighborhood? What if you're in a specific kind of neighborhood? What if you are in a waterfront community? What if you are in a condo building? What if you are, there's so many different ways that we can dial down on specific neighborhoods. And what if every quarter in March, in June, September, and December, you hosted a meeting with donuts and coffee and bagels, right? We're not talking a ton of money here. Maybe you have your lender, you call your lender up and you say, hey, lender, I need you to meet me at my building or at the community house or at the center or at the lake or at the pavilion at 7 p.m. with donuts, bagels, and coffee. And you canvass that entire daggone neighborhood and you say, we're going to be doing a free real estate market report presentation on Banana Community. Whatever your community name is. And you did this every single quarter. You know what's going to happen? Quarter 1, 6 people are going to show up. Quarter 2, 8 people are going to show up. Quarter 3, 15 people are going to show up. Quarter 4, 20 people are going to show up. 3 years later, 70 people sitting there trying to figure out what their house is worth and what's happening in the market. And guess who does this every quarter? You. And guess what the other realtors in the same exact community of you, like you, will do? 95% chance they won't even try to compete. Think about that for a minute. Human nature makes people look at something like that and go, well, I can't do anything because they're doing it. Here's the crazy part. If someone in your neighborhood is already doing that, do it better. Innovate it. Figure out how it could be better. What could look better? Are they passing out leaflets with information, a ton of numbers on it? Well, make something easy to read. Are they hosting it with bagels and donuts? Serve sushi. You see where I'm going with this? Right? and just make it better and more attractive and make it about your neighborhood. Right? I know a guy that does this in a neighborhood that is primarily, you know, a lot of people that are always outside. They love their dogs and pets. They eat outside, they hang out outside. There's a ton of parks in the area. And everybody shows up in shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops and super chill, super cool. And he does this presentation every quarter. He's been doing this presentation for like 6-7 years. Okay. And it's fantastic for him and he's killing it. This is an opportunity for you to add another piece to your arsenal. So now let's get back to this, getting leads. We're going to multiply this by 4. And we're going to go, you need to have at least 2112 leads coming in every single year. Guys, this is a yearly number, right? A yearly number. Everybody said, I could sell 2 houses a month, no problem. Okay, so what does it take to get there? Well, every year, you need to call and pre-qualify 2.75 people a month, right? And then when we go into the big number of getting leads, 2112 divided by 12, that's 176 leads. Guys, 176 leads is not that hard. You could do the simplest Facebook ad campaign and receive 100 leads. Right? 176 divided by 4 is 44 a week. Divided by 5 days a week is 8.8. That means you need to thrive to hit 9 people as a lead per day. Mind you, a lead, what is a lead? Let's define a lead. It's somebody that you spoke to, showed up on your website, registered on your website, you ran into the supermarket, you know, you gave them your card at a bar, you met them for dinner, or I'm sorry, you met them through a friend at dinner and you talked about real estate for 6 seconds and you received their contact information. All of these are leads. They're leads. All of them are leads. And the leads have to go into a CRM, which should also be a part of your plan. If you're not using a CRM, please get in the time machine and go back 20 years before internet and live in that world. Okay? Because we have CRMs, we have internet, we have computers, we have all kinds of stuff to help us achieve these goals. Most of these goals that we're looking at right now were barely achievable in the past because they didn't have a way to really track it and do it very well. Everything was index card and faxes. Guys, if you've been in real estate as long as I have, you remember getting faxes with listings. If you do, raise your hand. I mean, it's crazy, right? There was no MLS. What is that? Okay, we have this amazing opportunity to connect with so many people. So now, if this is the case and we know this, 8.8 people leads a day. Our mission is to get 9 a day. Here's the fun numbers, right? Actual real conversations about real estate, 132 divided by 12 divided by 5 days a week is 2.2 a day. 2.2 real estate conversations a day. Do 2 today, 3 tomorrow, 2 the next day, 3 the next day. 2.2 actual conversations a day about real estate. If you believe this is doable, type yes in the chat box. 2.2 conversations about real estate a day. It's very doable. This is cake. Typically, when we're talking about this, we get into the time blocks. And this is my fake simulation of a Google Calendar. Now, I don't care which calendar you use. It could be Google, it could be Outlook, it could be Microsoft, it can be anything. All I ask is that whatever calendar you try to use is accessible through the internet. It's in a cloud somewhere, and you can access it from your phone, from your tablet, from your computer, from anywhere. That's the only thing I ask. I met somebody the other day that is utilizing their iPhone calendar, which doesn't syndicate to anything else for her. And I said, this is not a good thing. You lose that phone, you're done. Right. And so let's go into this. 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm sorry, I'm military. Let me go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just leave 10 out so we can leave one screen. Okay. Now, your non-negotiables, I forgot who it was that said date night. Whoever it was that said date night is a non-negotiable, what time does your date night start? We're going to use your day of date night as an example. What time does your day night start? And if that person's not on, just anybody answer. Like if you had a non-negotiable with a date night, what time does that night start? 8 p.m. All right, Annie, thank you. All right, so we got date night. Let's go date night. And just for further clarification, Annie, what day of the week is your date night? Friday. So this is Friday. Okay. Date night. Now let's go. This is gone. Okay. Now, for those of you that said your morning is a non-negotiable, what time does your morning start? And what time does that portion of the morning end? So let's say, I think it was Enrico that said that you're up at 4:30, right? What time does your morning me time workout, all that good stuff, what time does that end? 7:30. Okay. So we're gonna go wake, workout, meditate, whatever you do, right? And from here to here, this is now blocked on your calendar. Now, who here believes that lead generation, based on the conversation that we just had, who here believes that lead generation should be a non-negotiable? It should be a non-negotiable. Who, and if you don't believe it should be a non-negotiable, write that in there too. Write it down. I don't care what you say. Lead generations are flexible. All right. Lead generation, if you want to hit the goal based on everything we just went through and all the numbers, if you want to hit the goal, lead generation time has to be a non-negotiable. Now, since we're using a Friday, lead generation would probably be bad to do between like 3 and 8 p.m., right? Like it's Friday, guys, right? You know, most people are not in that mindset at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., right? So let's say your lead generation was from 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. I mean, 9 to 11 a.m. So you go 9 to 11. That's a non-negotiable and it's time blocked. Okay. Now, what else do we need to put in here, guys? Should I eat lunch? It's a crazy thing, right? But most of us are willing to give up food for 18 hours a day so we could go grind it out in real estate, right? Should you stay nourished? So why not just break it? And I'm being real with you guys. Why not, when you finish lead gen, you go eat something? Recharge. because you and I both know that when you get on that phone and you're going hard, that's it. Now, I'm glad somebody wrote in there, showings, closings, appointments, lunch in the car, lunch in the car. So let's talk about showings, closings, listing appointments. Let's say, here we go. And this is where the test comes in, because we all said lead generation, you only eat if you lead generate. That's right, mate. Coffee's for closers. Let's go. All right. So, so let's talk about this for a minute, right? If you lead generate, and this is a non-negotiable, and this is 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and from 11 to 12, you're gonna make sure you eat something, or maybe 11 to 11:30, whatever you do, it's your time. You can figure it out. You know how quickly you can eat. I lead generate from my house. That's when I do that, right? So I can just run downstairs, go to the kitchen, grab something to eat, and typically I'm just gonna bring it right back to my office and work through lunch, right? That's me. That's what I do, right? If I take this opportunity and I look at this and somebody calls me and says, hey, I'd really like to see this house you just emailed me, right? Because you got these folks on automation through your CRM. I'd really like to see this house that you just emailed me. I'm available on Monday, or no, we're using Friday. I'm available on Friday at 10 a.m. What's your response to them? Type it in the chat box. Based on this, what we're talking about right now, I'm available Friday at 10 a.m. What's your response to that? And he says, yes, thanks for your honesty. Suggest a later time. I can at 9. I have an appointment. There's a mix of messages there, and I love this, right? Does 11:30 work for you? If not, I can, right? I already have an appointment. Can we do 1 or 3? Reschedule. Another appointment at a later time. That's great, but I have an opening between 1 and 3. I love this. Be more than happy to assist you at that time. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. This is tough because houses are going quick. Completely agree with you. I already have an appointment I'm open to. Time block. Yvonne says time block. That's what we're talking about here, right? The disciplined thing to do, and I say it in a tough way, so work with me here. The disciplined thing to do is respect yourself. That's the disciplined thing to do. You made an appointment with yourself from 9 to 11 to lead generate, which, by the way, is probably how you got that person to begin with. So why would you quit on the one thing that continues to bring you business to go do the business? Now, if the person calls you and says, hey, I'm flying in at Friday at 7 a.m. and I'm leaving Friday at 1 p.m. and 10 o'clock is my only time, then, hey, there's always room for movement, right? But if that person has the ability to meet you at 11:30 or at 1 o'clock or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, what you're seeing in this time blocked calendar is that you are completely wide open from 1 to 7. And that's where all this stuff kind of gets thrown in there. Those are your openings. That's your opportunity. Don't sell yourself short. So I'm going to tell you how this works so that those of you that said, you know, and Annette, thank you for being honest and saying, breaking through the fear of losing that person, right? It is true. That's where it comes from. It comes from fear and scarcity. But you know how you fix fear and scarcity, Annette? You follow your 2 hours a day of lead generation, and you have abundance in lead flow and abundance in your pipeline. And when you have abundance in your pipeline, the person that says, you know what, Annette, screw you, man. I can do 10. If you can't do 10, I'm going to find somebody else. When you have abundance in your pipeline and abundance in your paychecks and abundance in your commission, you go, you know what? Sounds like that's the best option for you. And you hang up the phone. And I hate to say it, but that person was going to be a prick all the way through the closing. Do you want that in your life? Right? When you make an appointment for the doctor, and the doctor says, I will see you at 9 o'clock. Can you show up at 1 and say, nah, I'm good. I want it now? You can't. Or you can't call the doctor's office and say, hey, I'm going to be in tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to need you to see me. That ain't going to work out. Doctor's going to go, my next opening's in February. Right? We need you need to respect yourself and your time enough and your business enough to be able to step in here and look at this and go, hey, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, unfortunately, I'm already booked at the time. I do have another commitment, another appointment. However, I am free between 1 and 4 p.m. Do any of those times work for you? And they might say, hey, Kat, sorry, I can't do today 1 and 3 p.m. Can we go tomorrow on Saturday? And can we see it? Is there a time that we can do Saturday? And your Saturday schedule might be very different. You might say, hey, I might be able to book 10 a.m. on Saturday. If that works for you, I'll try to get that appointment for us. Does that work for you, Mrs. Seller? Or buyer, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, sure, it does. You know where the biggest fear sets in? You're always afraid that you're going to lose that buyer. Now let's talk about sellers. I'd like you to come by my house on Friday at 11 a.m. to present to me how you would sell my house. See, now everybody's skin crawled a little bit, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, that's a listing, Dave. Don't mess with me. You're telling me I got to tell that person the same thing? Yes. Hey, you know what? I would love to be there at 11. Unfortunately, I'm going to be finishing an appointment at 11. I can be there by 11:30. What's the person going to go? No, I want 11 right now. They're not going to do that, right? And if they do, did you really want that listing to begin with? Can you imagine working with that person and showing them a full price offer? What are they going to do? No, I think you listed it too low. Don't accept that offer. Raise the price by 50 grand. Who's been there? Right? All right. So my theory is to find another agent because I'm busy. They don't have enough of respect for my business and my time. I want to work with people who want to work with me 100%. And that's what we're getting at. That's the exact method. Think about abundance. If I'm doing this 2 hours a day, every single day, then I'm hitting the numbers that I want to hit and doing the things that I need to do. And by doing that, I'm able to look at somebody and say, unfortunately, I'm not available at that time. However, blah, blah, blah. And so this is something that I really like you guys to work on. And this is how it correlates together. If I have a big goal and we dialed down on all these numbers up here, right? We dialed down on all these numbers up here. And we said that 8.8 people a day, or 8.8 leads a day, will get me $10 million in sales. I was going to put the M, but the zeros look so much cooler. $10 million in sales and $250,000 in GCI. Right? 8.8 leads. Now I'm going to go, how do I get these leads? And I'm going to list those out. And let's say my list is Google PPC. Let's say I do Facebook ads. And let's say I door knock. I'm just using 3 to make it simple. Now I'm going to take Google PPC and I'm going to say how much. Say I'm doing 500 a month. Okay. Cost. Then I'm going to say, where do they go? My CRM. We use Chime. Speed to lead, which are other conversations for us. What's my methodology? How long does it take for me to get to that lead? Now, I want you guys to do the studies on this. You have an 80% chance of connecting with that person within the first 60 seconds of them registering on the website. On minute 2, it reduces by half. On minute 2, you have a 40% chance. On minute 5, you have an 8% chance of touching that person, right? And these are through Google PPC. Okay, so we can talk about speed to lead. We can talk about what type of communication, drip campaigns, automation you put into place for those leads. This is it right here. This is breaking it all down. Then we go Facebook ads. Are we including Instagram? Are we sending those to the CRM too? Are we looking at speed to lead here? How are we doing this? How do we communicate with them? Because Google PPC ads are 1 to 3 months out, and Facebook ads are typically 6 to 8 months out. So does that mean you go, well, I don't want to do Facebook ads because they're 6 to 8 months out? No, it doesn't. It means do them in conjunction with other things so that you have a continuous feed of lead flow so that the pipeline works itself out. Whoever's not ready now, so everyone you get this month, if you got 100, how many did we say you needed every day? You needed 8.8 leads, right? We said that by week, though. I can't remember where I wrote it. But if every day you needed 8.8 leads, right? You know, and I look at this, I go, I need to get these 8.8 leads. And out of those 8, some of them are going to be ready today. Some will be ready a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 10 months from now, 12 months from now. And as long as I get my 8 to 9 every single day, at some point in the year, somebody's going to be buying a house, and it's going to be somebody who's ready now. 1, 3, 6, 9, 12. It's all going to be different times because everybody has a different situation. Every deal has its own heartbeat and soul. We all know that, right? Okay, if I door knock, what area? What am I giving out? What's my offer? Right? These are the things you need to think about. How many doors per day? Be realistic with yourself. How many doors per day and how many days a week? Because I know folks that would say, I don't like the phone so much, Dave. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lead generate 2 hours a day, every single day, Monday through Friday. And here's what I'm going to do. On Monday, I'm going to make phone calls. On Tuesday, I'm going to go door knocking. On Wednesday, I'm going to host an event. On Thursday, I'm going to follow up on my phone calls. And on Friday, I'm going to call sphere of influence and past clients. They mix it up because they find that door knocking works for them. Doesn't work for everybody. Not everyone's great at it, right? But for those that it works for, it's a fantastic opportunity. Then how do I expand? So let's go expand on lead flow. Well, I got the basics. This is the stuff I do every week. But what about that quarterly market meeting? And what about my social media? How many people do I affect on social media every single day by posting every single day? Which, by the way, right now in today's market, 3 to 4 times a day. And please, please, please write this here because it's going to be in the notes. Do not vomit real estate on everyone. Please don't vomit real estate on everyone. When you're doing your social media campaigns, be you. I promise you, people are more interested in what you're doing tonight or this weekend than they are about the new listing you just got at so-and-so place, or the market, or the interest rate, or the new listing you just sold, or the new buyer that you just met, or so forth and so forth and so forth and so on, right? Be you. Take a moment to, you go on date night, guess what? Pictures of food are still in the top 3 most viewed Instagram photos in the world. Pictures of food. You know what comes in second place? Dogs. You know what comes in third place? Children. Can you believe that children are not on the top? Dogs came before children. But that's Instagram, and that's how it works, right? Did you know that TikTok, which is not one of my strong suits, I don't even know how to spell it, TikTok, its average age on the user is mid-30s now? This used to be a kids app. What happened? Adults got involved. They started doing TikToks, and then that turned into conversations, and that turned into lives, and that turned into et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So what I'm telling you, when you go to social media, if you're trying to attract business, mix it up. People will work with you not because you sell real estate. People will work with you because they know, like, and trust you to do the biggest transaction of their potentially ever in their lives. Right? Like, somebody's going to come up to you that drives a normal car and rents a normal house and has a normal job and eats at normal restaurants, just like the average human being in America. And they're going to look at you and go, can you please help me spend $500,000? And they're not just going to do that with anybody. They're going to do it if they know, like, and trust you. So be you. Right? Does it mean that you begin a podcast? Let's talk about that. If you begin the podcast, where will you stream? Right? Where will you stream? How often will you post it? What would be the topic? How do you stand out? Guests or no guests? And as you begin to ask yourself these questions and dime it down, let's say you know all the answers to this, and every single Wednesday you're going to publish a podcast. Well, if every Wednesday you're going to publish a podcast, you come here and you have to now time block the time frame that you're going to record it. If you're going to publish it on Wednesday, chances are you should probably record it on Monday or Tuesday so you can prep it, right? Time block your marketing prep, time block the time that you're going to do the podcast. And then schedule it on an email campaign, schedule it on your social media so that the world knows you actually did a podcast. This is the key to time blocking right here, right? This is the key to time blocking. So I'm going to stop this broadcast right here so I can look at you and talk to you. All right. So this right here, everything that we just went over, I want you to, like, spend serious time and focus on your big goals. And then I want you to take those goals and I want you to make them ultimately as minute as possible. Break them down as small as you can to the point where you can actually schedule it on a day and time on your calendar. When you can do that, then you begin to block out your entire life, right? So if you know every single day, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 11, you're going to lead generate, you can go to Google right now and you can go to the first Monday of January and you can block that time, and then you can have it repeat daily every weekday. And it'll light up the whole year for you, right? And then you could time block when you're going to host your podcast. You can time block when you're going to have date nights. You can time block your vacations. That way, those are already in there, right? So for instance, I'll give you an example. I know I have to do 3 or 4 events with Robert Palmer next year. So I had a conversation with Robert Palmer. I said, can you give me an idea on dates on this so that I can block those dates off and nothing else gets in the way of them? Because I would hate to book a vacation on a day that we're doing a mastermind together, right? And then I go to another friend of mine in California with Sun West Mortgage, and I say, hey, I know we're doing an event in Vegas. I know we're doing an event in Dallas. I know we're doing an event in Houston. When are those events? And another one in South Florida. I need the dates on those events. He gives me the dates. I time block. My 2023, even my events, my personal events. I'm hosting a boot camp in February. We have the conference in June. We have another conference in November. We have some smaller stuff in between that. It's all pumped out, right? It's already on the calendar. My gym time is in the calendar. The time I wake up is in the calendar. My meditation prayer time is in the calendar. My wife knows the volleyball schedule. My wife knows the dance schedules. My wife knows all that stuff. So she sends me invites as she gets the information so I can just accept. Yes, 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 yes. You know what the beauty of having a calendar really, really blocked out is you know exactly what you're going to do that day. That's the beauty of it. Do you know how many real estate agents wake up in the morning and have no flipping clue what they're going to do today? None. None. They have no idea. They're just running blind into the day, right? And I hate to say it, some of you are going to go, shit, Dave said I need to talk to 9 people, get 9 leads. I guess I'm going to the mall. Like, whatever shows up, right? So what I'm telling you guys is here's the perfect opportunity to take your big goals and chomp them down into something so minute that it can actually be placed on the calendar on a specific date and time. And once you're able to jot that down into a very specific date and time, then what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for success, because what you're going to do is you're going to know what happens every single day of your life moving forward. You scheduled it yourself. No one is pushing you around. You are not an order taker. You are not a number 2. Let me explain what that means. If you've ever attended any of my coaching, a number 2 at McDonald's is 2 cheeseburgers, a medium fries, and a medium drink. That has been like that since probably God knows the 60s. The number 2 has always been the same. So when you go to McDonald's and you order a number 2, the guy or the girl behind the counter blindly grabs 2 cheeseburgers, medium fries, and a drink and puts it in a bag. You're telling them what you want, and they're blindly doing what you need them to do. Don't be that realtor. Don't let clients push you around. Don't let them govern your entire career and your life and your business, because you will never hit the goals that you want to hit if you don't follow the strategy you have placed for yourself. No one forced you into this. You chose to do this. And it's a beautiful thing, by the way. This career that we have in front of us is insanity. I've got coaching students making $200,000-$300,000 a year. I got coaching students surpassing $2 million a year. I got coaching students hitting $5 million a year, guys. You can do whatever it is that you want to do in this career. It's yours for the taking. And guess what? There's this little news article that came out the other day that said 250,000 agents will leave this industry in the next 90 days. This is your opportunity to pick up all the business those folks are leaving behind because they couldn't keep up. Your opportunity. It's yours for the taking. And it's a huge blessing, guys. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today. This will be the last session for the rest of the year. And we'll begin again in January. Trust me, we'll get emails out to you guys. Mike, thank Mike very much. Give Mike a round of applause. He's the magic behind reminding us to be here every single day or every Thursday at 11 a.m. So thank you, Mike, for doing a great job with that. And guys, thank you. And I wish each and every one of you a very, very happy and exciting holiday. And I pray that you guys just take some of this downtime and put in this little work. You can do it on paper, you can do it on computer, you can do it on a Excel spreadsheet, whatever makes you happy, and roll with it. And I think you're going to find that when you do this exercise and when you're able to lock yourself in, it's going to change the dynamic of your entire world. Guys, have a fantastic and amazing holiday. See you guys in 2023.